7 years ago in mid-February, I'd be back in Cleveland. I'd be freezing my ass off, waiting for some warm weather to come around so I can get out of the house. Now, here we are in Orlando. What a beautiful night. Clearski, what's up, dude? Welcome to the Plaza. Mr. Salvador Van Gogh, Tampa J. Actually, Salvador Van Gogh, question for you, sir. Let me flip my camera around right quick. So Jason, let me ask you a question. You at all a fan of Alan Parsons Project? We'll get into this in a minute. Mike tried. Tampa J. Emanating. What's up, guys? 7 people here. That's very cool. Uncertain. Well, let me put this out there. I'm at the Alan Parsons show tonight. I find myself with an extra VIP ticket. So, Jason, I'm just throwing that out there to you. I know it's a work day tomorrow, but I'm throwing it out there. I suddenly find myself with an extra ticket. I see that Jackie is telling people that I'm live in a chat, so how about that? Well, we'll get into the whole thing in just a second. I just got to figure out. Jason wants to take me up on this VIP ticket. Got people out there wandering around already, probably wondering why this guy's standing out talking to himself in the tree lawn. Let's go for a little walk, shall we? Pause charm for this, so it better be good. Well, we'll see. It's not charmed good, but. So I'm down here at the Plaza Live. If you're not familiar with the Plaza Live, it's a music venue here in Orlando. It's this big building behind me, and it's right next to this big shopping center. And it tends to be sort of one of those middle of the road venues. You know, you're not going to get the brand new artists, but like Alan Parsons is here this week. My car can use a muffler. The Zombies, Edgar Winter, but there's some newer stuff that's coming too. Like Jonathan Davis from Korn was just here a couple of weeks ago, stuff like that. So it's one of these music venues that's been around forever. They just redid it a few years ago, and they tend to get some of the more expensive artists that don't need to be in an arena. It's absolutely gorgeous. You know, you go in and they got the bars set up. It's kind of like back home it would have been held in one of the theaters from the turn of the century, but they don't have those so much here in Orlando. But my buddy runs the lighting for him, so he invited me down, gave me a couple of VIP passes, so here I am. Got a little while before they let everybody in, so I wanted to check up with everybody, do a little live stream, and talk about some of the stuff that's happened in the last, I don't know, call it 9-10 days. As a lot of you know, we kicked off the podcast, Limelight DIY, about 9 days ago. A lot of you were very cool to immediately jump on there and subscribe and leave reviews and thumbs up and listen and download and all that stuff. And I really, really greatly appreciate that. Could not tell you how much I appreciate it. I'm trying to get it onto the new noteworthy. Let me start that again. Trying to get it. The car can use a muffler. Yes, Jay, I know, man. If you were in town, I would have asked you to. Trying to get the podcast on the new and noteworthy section of iTunes. iTunes accounts for like somewhere between 60 and 80% of the podcast downloads. I don't have an iPhone, so I use Stitcher personally. But iTunes is like Google. You kind of have to be on it. So pushing it out to iTunes, if it's successful on iTunes, it's going to be successful anywhere. So I've asked people, if at all possible, jump onto iTunes, leave a quick review, leave a download, thumbs up, thumbs down, all that stuff, which I appreciate. What's up, Nick? And a lot of people have. Huge thank you for everyone that has. Currently, in the last 9 days, we are looking at somewhere in the realm of 225 unique users have downloaded the podcast. Which, it's funny, you put that in perspective, like on YouTube, 220 isn't huge, because YouTube will take your stuff and push it out to people that think are going to like it. iTunes doesn't do that so much, unless you, of course, get on the new noteworthy section or you have a big podcast. If you are a smaller podcast and you're not on there, you are in oblivion unless somebody specifically goes out and looks for you or promotes you. So 220, 230, I haven't looked for a couple of hours, and it's always a couple hours behind. That's actually a really good number, and it's better than 90% of the podcasts do in the first week. And I am super grateful to all of you who have done that. And when I say 220, 230 unique users, that means a person coming onto it for the first time and downloading something. If they download multiple streams, multiple episodes, if they listen to one of them over and over again, that doesn't count towards that number. That's just a new person has gone on there and downloaded an episode or multiple episodes. Megapodtastic knows what I'm talking about. I have not yet. My iPod needs a new battery. My iPod doesn't exist. I think I get an iPod someplace in my house, but I know it doesn't connect to the internet because I'm old. So, it's been a whirlwind week because of that stuff, and we've had some great feedback. We've had 4 episodes put out there. One is the Sort of Sold, where I just talk about it. One is an interview with Jacob, which is currently trending as the most downloaded episode, which is kind of what I expected. We've got one with my good friend Chris Aiken, who is a shock jock and an author from Cleveland, and an entrepreneur, and does everything else in the world. That's done really well. And then we just released this week one with Jackie, who's right here, super enthused. Jackie, I will say this though, even though your episode is currently in 3rd place, it's only been out for, I don't know, what, 48 hours, something like that, and yours is actually trending quicker, for what it's worth. Jacob had an extra week on you, so his is still double what yours is, but in terms of the quickest moving episode, Jackie from Super Enthused gets that. And if you haven't already checked it out, please, limelightdiy.com. If you scroll down to the bottom of the page on limelightdiy.com, there's a couple badges. One says click here to listen on Stitcher. One says click here to listen on iTunes. You'd be doing me a huge favor if you can go on there, give it a listen, click onto, if you have iTunes, that's the preferred one, just because I got to get the numbers up on that one. But if you don't, then Stitcher. Either way, subscribe, leave a review. You'd be doing me a huge favor, and I would certainly appreciate it. Jackie's interview was great. I'm going to warn you, if you go on the Jackie's interview, your old Uncle Ryan botched the audio a little bit at the beginning, and there's a little musical bed that's a little bassy. Not bad. It only lasts for about 30 seconds, and you can still hear it. It's just, I would have brought it down a little bit. But this weekend, on Friday, we are launching another episode, because it is a weekly podcast. And this weekend's podcast, this Friday's podcast, is kind of a big one. I don't know if anyone here is familiar with an actor / comedian / director by the name of Nathan Barnett. Chances are you have seen him multiple times, whether you knew that was him or not. He's out in Hollywood. He's got something like 350,000 subscribers on his YouTube channel, but YouTube is only like a little bit of what he does. There's a whole bunch of commercials, a whole bunch of TV shows, movies, and all that kind of stuff that he's in. He's been in Hollywood for 14-ish years, something like that. And he plays Keith Apicary, if you're not familiar. Keith Apicary, Trail Luaus. Trail Luaus was the unofficial spokesman for Skittles, who became the official spokesman for Skittles when they actually saw these videos. He's making some movies right now. He's actually just got done filming a cinematic piece that is going to be at all of the film festivals, possibly Sundance, kind of a big thing. So very excited about that. Keith was good enough to jump on and do the interview. That's coming out this Friday. Really excited about that one. Keith is an incredible guy, and he's doing so many cool things. But that comes out hopefully around 8 o'clock on Friday, and I say hopefully because iTunes, Stitcher, all that kind of stuff. You could tell them what time to release it, but they're kind of gonna, release it when they feel like releasing it, and that's not a whole lot I can do about that. We missed it this week by 2.5 hours, and I know that because no, it wasn't 2.5 hours. I'm sorry, it was only about an hour. I know that because Jackie and I were both waiting with bated breath for her interview to come out, and it got stalled. But Florida Freaks, whatever. It's Al and Hizzy. So if anyone here hasn't already done so, you'd be doing me a huge service if you jump over to limelightdiy.com. That's all one word. Scroll to the bottom, click on the iTunes, and if you don't have iTunes, then Stitcher, and give it a download. Definitely check out Jackie's episode. Definitely check out Jacob's episode. I think you should check out Chris Aiken's episode. If I'm being entirely brutally honest, his episode is absolutely incredible. I know a lot of the people in the stream aren't going to know Chris as well because he's not a YouTuber. He is, like I said, he's a shock jock. He does some YouTube. He's got a podcast, but he's also a terrestrial radio guy. He's written 5 books. He owns a couple of businesses, including the biggest pinball museum, especially in the Northeast, if not the entire country. This guy has done some incredible things. When he got back from the military back in the 80s, he was working in a steel plant to support his family, and they dropped 7 tons of molten steel on him when he was in a blast furnace cleaning it up. Burned 68% of his skin off, something to that crazy number. They called his family, said, come say goodbye. Chris did not want to die, so Chris fought his way back. Chris hosts currently the Classic Metal Show. I mean, it's been years since that. He's still, you can tell he's been burned, but he's one of those never say die guys. He just, anytime that anyone gets in his face and tells him he can't do anything, he curses him out because he's got a mouth like a sailor, and punches him in the face, figuratively and probably literally. But Chris is an awesome guy, and he is going through some very cool stuff in his podcast. And if you are a creator yourself, YouTube, podcast, stand-up comedy, any of those things, you're definitely going to want to check out Chris's stuff because he's got a lot of really actionable tips too. So a lot of good stuff going on. Sorry to get on here and just blast out my my little promo thing, but I'm really excited about this, and I really want to see what we can do. In the meantime, let me show you something. This is kind of cool. Looking up in the sky, unfortunately there's that light right there. Look at the moon just giving off that glow. That is incredible. Rebel Red. So, just sitting here waiting for Alan Parsons' stuff to start up. Look at that amazing street light. You are right, Deej. Actually, right behind me, right over here, we have the tour bus for Alan Parsons' group. And I'm just assuming everyone knows who Alan Parsons is. If you don't know him, he had a lot of hits in the 70s and 80s. He's a singer, songwriter, musician. He did the big one that most people know is Sirius, Eye in the Sky. But he also did things like, Don't Lie to Me, Games People Play, stuff like that. But a lot of people also know his producing work. If you are a fan at all of Pink Floyd, that's him. He's the one that produced the big albums. A whole bunch of other stuff too. I'm not going to go through his entire resume because it just goes on and on, but he produced some incredibly successful, legendary albums, and also had these huge hits himself. Actually, if you've ever been to a basketball game, the little instrumental thing that they play when it gets all dark and the lasers start moving and they start announcing the players that come out, that was his. Which is funny because I'm pretty sure he didn't write it to be a sports anthem, but I'm sure he didn't turn it down either. I'm going to go through his entire resume, Jackie. That's what I'm going to do right now. He helped Pink Floyd with Dark Side of the Moon. He did indeed. The Dark Side of the Moon album would not be the same without him, not only in the sound, but I know he had a hand in how everything was laid out musically as well. Sorry, I missed a whole bunch of chats. I just realized that my chats were behind. Now they're just coming through all of a sudden by themselves. Greg's Game Room. Yeah. Greg was originally going to come down here tonight, but you know, something about driving 3 hours just didn't sit well with him. We've got about an hour or so to kill. I'm not going to keep you on here for an hour, guys. I wouldn't do that. I'm going to walk down here. There's a Barnes and Nobles, and I'm a book nut. I'm a book nut and an office supply nut, which is kind of weird. I know that. Where am I? Rebel Red, I am at the Plaza Live in Orlando, waiting to get inside. I've got VIP passes for Mr. Alan Parsons tonight. My buddy Martin is his longtime lighting director. It's kind of cool anytime that Martin's in town, and he comes through for Alan, Todd Rundgren, and a few other of the the legendary types. It's the only time I ever get to see Martin, actually, is usually when he's in town for these things. But great guy, legendary lighting designer. It's kind of weird to see his resume, and just this very unassuming guy. You'd never think. You see these lighting designers, and usually they're all tatted up and long hair and all that. And Martin is not that guy. Show us behind the scenes. Well, the problem is behind the scenes won't take place until probably like 12 o'clock or 1 o'clock in the morning. So we film the concert. I will probably, what I will do, does anybody actually want to see any of it? What I could probably do, I'm not going to have enough battery power to do the whole thing. I might be able to film 1 or 2 songs and put them up, if you'd be interested to see that. I would be okay doing that, I think. I'm not sure what the copyright stuff is going to be, so it might go up and then come back down. But we'll see what's what. Is D. Snyder there? No, D does not come to the same area that I'm in. We've proven that many times. D doesn't like me. I don't like you either. You should wash yourselves. Shooting Earth Day birthday again. That's coming up, isn't it now? I feel like we were having this conversation last year right around now. Give or take. Oh, I'm getting a little buzz here. Let me see. Yeah, nothing that I need to take care of just yet. So, well, guys, I'm going to let you go. I'm going to dive into Barnes & Nobles. I'm going to try to jump back on here later, maybe film a song or two. Hey, Cindy, what's up? Thank you for the have fun. I'm going to try to film a song or two later on. We'll do a little quick live stream on that one too from inside. I'm going to tell you right now, the sound quality is going to be awful. It's just the way it is. But it is what it is. Again, if you haven't done so already, please, limelightdiy.com. Please go to iTunes. And if you don't have iTunes, then Stitcher. Please give it a subscribe and a quick review. It would help me immensely as I try to push this onto the new and noteworthy section. It will help a lot, and I will always appreciate it. All right, guys. People are probably getting creeped out by the guy wandering around talking to his phone, so catch you later. Peace out, all.